He didn't break a single law. That's the part that drives people crazy. A retired math teacher from a small town in Michigan found a hole in a state lottery so wide you could drive a truck through it. And over 9 years, he and a tiny group of friends pulled out roughly $26 million in winnings. Legally. The state knew. The state watched it happen. And for years, they did nothing. Because here's the kicker. The more this man won, the more money the state made too. Let me tell you how Jerry Selbee cracked it. Jerry was not a gambler. Get that picture out of your head right now. No cigars, no whale tables, no junkets to Vegas. Jerry was a guy who ran a convenience store in a town of fewer than 1,000 people. Before that, he'd spent his life around numbers. He had a head that saw patterns where everybody else saw noise. And in 2003, a new lottery game showed up in Michigan called Winfall. Now, most lottery games work one way. The jackpot grows and grows until somebody finally matches all 6 numbers and takes the whole thing. Winfall was different. Winfall had a rule. If the jackpot climbed to $5 million and nobody hit all 6, the money didn't keep rolling over. Instead, it rolled down. It dropped to all the players who matched 5 numbers, or 4, or 3. That phrase, roll down, that's the whole story. That's the loophole. Hold on to it. Jerry's sitting in his store one day reading the fine print on a lottery brochure. The fine print. Who reads that? Jerry did. And in about 3 minutes, he says 3 minutes, he did the math in his head and realized something nobody at the Lottery Commission seemed to have flagged. On a roll-down week, the odds flipped. The expected payout on a $1 ticket was actually worth more than $1. The house edge, the thing that makes the lottery a guaranteed loser for everybody on planet Earth, temporarily vanished. For one window, every couple of months, the math tilted toward the player. And here's where it gets interesting. Jerry didn't trust himself right away. So he tested it small. He drove to a town nearby, walked into a store, and bought $2,200 worth of tickets on a roll-down week. He won $2,300, a small profit. Could have been luck. So next roll-down, he bought $3,400 in tickets. He doubled his money. Now it wasn't luck. Now it was a pattern. And Jerry Selbee had spent his whole life trusting patterns. So he scaled up. He pulled his wife Marge into it. The two of them, retired, started buying tickets by the tens of thousands. They'd drive to the store, hand over a stack of cash, and stand at the machine printing tickets for 10 hours straight. Picture that. 2 people in their 60s printing lottery tickets until their fingers went numb, sorting them into piles on their living room floor for days afterward. Marge would check thousands of tickets by hand. It was brutal, boring, relentless work. It was not glamorous. It was a job. But the math held. Every single roll down, they came out ahead. So Jerry formed a corporation, called it GS Investment Strategies. He sold shares to friends and family, neighbors, the guy from church, retired folks looking to make a little extra. Each share was $500. At the peak, he had 60-some people in on it, and this little group of small-town retirees was quietly beating a state lottery for profit. Now let me hit you with the detail almost nobody knows. Jerry wasn't even the only one who found this. On the other side of the country, a group of students at a major university found the exact same flaw in the exact same game. Sharp young math kids, running the numbers, buying tickets by the hundreds of thousands. 2 completely separate groups, strangers to each other, both quietly draining the same loophole at the same time. And the lottery officials, they could see it in the data. They saw the ticket sales spike on certain weeks. They knew somebody was gaming it. So why didn't they shut it down? Because the state made money on every ticket sold. The more Jerry bought, the fatter the state's cut. As long as the game was technically fair and nobody was cheating, the people running it had every reason to look the other way. Think about that for a second. Would you shut down a player who's beating you if every move he made put cash in your pocket too? That's the question the state never really wanted to answer. Here's the thing though, there was a risk hidden inside the whole scheme, and it's the part that separates a clever guy from a reckless one. The roll down only paid off if enough other people also played. The strategy depended on the prize pool getting carved up a certain way. If too many other players piled in on a roll down week, the winnings got diluted and the edge could shrink or disappear. So Jerry and his group had to time it. They had to move fast, buy big, and pick their weeks. It wasn't a money printing machine you could run on autopilot. It was a window, and windows close. Over time, the 2 groups noticed each other in the numbers. The college students started buying so aggressively that they threatened to tip a few draws in a bad direction for everyone. There was even a little Cold War in the data, both sides trying to figure out when the other would strike. But for years, the loophole was wide enough to feed everybody. And the wildest part? It all stayed completely legal. Jerry never lied, never cheated, never tampered with a single ticket. He just understood the rules better than the people who wrote them. There's a clean line between cracking a system and cheating a system, and Jerry stayed dead on the legal side of it the entire time. We've covered the players who crossed that line, the edge-sorting cases, the card counters who got backed off and barred, and those are wild stories in their own right. This one's different. Nobody could back Jerry off. There was nothing to ban him for. By the time it all wound down, Jerry and Marge's group had bought tickets totaling tens of millions of dollars and pulled out a profit of around $8 million for themselves, with the larger pool of winnings across all their plays climbing toward $26 million. The game itself eventually got shut down, not because of fraud, but because once a newspaper exposed the loophole publicly, the embarrassment was too much, and the state quietly killed Winfall for good. And here's the question I want you to sit with. Jerry didn't break the law. He read the fine print, did the arithmetic, and outthought a billion-dollar institution with a notebook and a calculator. So, was that fair game? Or did he beat a system that was rigged for everyone else and just unlucky enough to leave one door open? Some people call him a genius. Some call him a leech who drained money meant for schools and roads. I know where I land. But I want to hear where you do. Drop it below. Genius or freeloader? And if a story like this is your kind of thing, you already know what to do.